My name is David Tlale. I'm a fashion designer based in Johannesburg, South Africa. If I was not a fashion designer, let me see. Backtrack. When I was in primary, I wanted to be a teacher. And then I got to high school. Then I thought maybe I want to be an accountant. And then fast forward, finished my matric, and then I decided I want to study auditing. So if I was not a fashion designer, I would be a fabulous auditor or a finance guy. And along the journey, I literally found myself to say I'm not an accountant. I dropped out. I went to study fashion, and yeah, I mean, like 18 years later, I'm here, you know, and having to get into the industry was quite of a difficult one because I had no background of fashion or making clothes or anything else, but subconsciously I knew that I have a creative bug in me. And now that I'm here, 18 years later, full-time in the industry, I realized that I actually was a creative from childhood. I look at the influences from my uncles, who was a landscape painter. The other one was a fashionista. And then also growing up in township, like you get to get all these influences from Sunday Best, Mapansula, and the Swankers, you know, the hippies, all those things. They played a major role in making me who I am today. Was there a time where I wanted to give up? Absolutely, many times, almost every day, because the industry is very demanding, and running a business and also being a creative, it's nothing that actually just wake up and do. You have to make a decision. You have to fight, and it's a continuous battle on a daily basis. Many times when I had made front page news headlines because of my financial struggles and the debt and disappointment of customers. And I mean, like, those things, they were like scary to me. I was like, I'm out, I'm done. But because I made a conscious decision and to say I want to become a great designer based in South Africa, I had to wake up and pick up myself. And along the journey, I asked myself, will I still continue doing this on a daily basis? Absolutely. Doesn't matter how hard it is, doesn't matter how difficult it is, doesn't matter the challenges that we've met, I continue doing it. Why did we open like 4 stores or got into retail, and especially now? I know this for sure that it was July 2020 when, as a business, we have stopped making beautiful clothing, and all we made was masks, and we were selling masks and apron. Like literally, it was just like a production company that we're just making like fabric masks. We started also with like not real PPEs, but it was just like all the fabric, the paper ones, and then we moved to the 3-layer fabric ones, and things were not going well. Things were very difficult, and we found ourselves as a brand on a crossroad whereby we had to make a decision whether we are shutting down or we are going to grow. And this really took a huge toll on me, and which led to us as a business and me as a person to get into and tap into my spiritual space to say, am I going to trust God in this journey, or am I just going to give in and shut down and tell my team it's over? And I know very well that applied principles that I was raised with, that my mom actually taught me, that when all chips are down, get back to God, kneel down and pray. And I remember listening to one sermon that says, having to look at what you have at home, you know, and I looked at what we had as a business. I looked at the people that are depending on this business that we employ on a full-time basis. We looked at our skill. It was like, we're gonna turn this whole thing around, and took a leap of faith. And we said, we are now starting to make collections. How are we going to sell them? I am going to open the first store, which is Melrose Arch. And we applied, we got accepted. And then we started saying, okay, fine, this is what we are doing. And we did this first flagship store. While we are in the journey of it, another opportunity came. And this is all about, people always ask me, David, how do you do it? I don't have the answer, but I know that the grace of God and the power of God has sustained us and give us what we do and who we are as a business. While we are opening this store, another opportunity comes at Ribeauville in Waterfall to a friend of mine, Jean du Plessis, who's an amazing artist. He says, I've got this exhibition coming at Ribeauville, but I want to collaborate with you so that you can do the exhibition. I was like, okay, great, fantastic, let's do it. And fast forward, I was offered a space that we turned around into the David Tlale store. And literally on the 1st of October 2020, we opened our second store. This store was opened on the 6th of September, which actually is my mom's birthday, and the store was actually dedicated to my mom. And on the 1st of October, we had this opportunity to open at Ribeauville in Waterfall. Fast forward, got an opportunity, I was like, okay, fine, how do we then move forward? Because now we have these two stores. And I was like just looking around, and then we had Menlyn that was having an opportunity for local brands and everything else. We applied, we got accepted, and on December 2nd, we opened our third store. And while I'm doing this, I was consulting for House of Monatic, which I was designing Kaduchi Women for like 3 months, and it was great. And I was thinking about it, which is in Cape Town. So I was commuting to Cape Town on a weekly basis. And I thought, here I am, a brand that is based in Johannesburg, but I have this following in Cape Town, and I need presence. And lo and behold, this beautiful place that I've been looking at, I think for the past 4 years, became available. And we're like, okay, fine, we're gonna take up this lease. We took up the lease, we got accepted. And on the 29th of January, which is my birthday, we launched the Cape Town store. And it has been like nothing but literally the grace of God upon our lives, upon our journey, upon this brand. And also, not only that, instead of just opening stores, we also grew as a business of employing people that work in the stores and also in studio. And we've seen nothing but amazing. Why are we doing this during the pandemic? I always say, if you look at history, during the World War, there was huge numbers of people dying. But during the World War, there was a lot of opportunities that actually came through. And there was much more entrepreneurial value that was imparted in the world globally. And we saw new inventions, technology, and everything. This is post the World War. Right now, we are in the pandemic. It's a world war. We don't know what we're fighting. It's called COVID. But we have to make choices. Do we choose to survive? Do we choose to grow? Or do we choose to die? Not literally, but we as a brand, David Tlale, we chose to believe in God. We chose to believe in the dream and the vision that has been imparted to us, and to say we are going to become a brand that still sustains. Are we having fun? Absolutely. And retail is really beautiful, because I look at the past 6 months of opening 4 flagship stores, which are like literally so beautiful. It's been a beautiful journey. We learn every day, we meet new customers, and we are exposing ourselves to say, here we are as a brand that has been established in 2003. 18 years later, now we are taking off. I mean, this is excluding 4 years of study in fashion, 4.5 years of lecturing, and then in 2003, like, boom, let me start. And I believe we've done a lot of groundwork. And our journey, I believe, has just begun, because what we are doing now as a brand is the real thing, which is now the business of fashion, because we now create these beautiful collections. We have 4 stores that we distribute them. We have another store that we actually distribute through, which is Africa Arise, which is run by Tlale. It's got multiple brands there, and The Mansion, which is also just part of growth. And our vision right now as a business is to say, we have created a brand, we have established a brand which is strong and has gone through a lot of tests and trials. And now it's time that people are able to consume the product, the brand, or the product, David Tlale. That's the 4 stores, Africa Rise. The store in New York is called Flying Solo. We are soon to supply another store in the continent, so just keep watching the space. We're also selling in Alara in Nigeria. So there's a lot of things that we are actually doing as a business. I would say what it takes to be a great leader is to understand your calling. And because not every leader is a leader. Leaders are called. And you understand where you come from, you can understand where you are, you understand where you're going, you understand where you're rooted. And not to overthink things or life or anything. You just wake up and lead and do that. But it also starts with yourself. I always say to young people that I motivate and have been talked to, I say being a great designer it's neither here or there. But if you're not principled, it all starts with being principled. It all starts with loving yourself, respecting yourself, being disciplined, being committed, and also hard work. And realize that this industry that we work in or that we've been called into, we can never treat it as a side chick. It's a permanent job. It's a permanent 24/7 labor or labor of love. And being a leader, I think it all comes from my past, where I was raised. Like I said, I was born and raised in Vosloorus. And I'm a proud product of Bantu education. I finished my primary school in Vosloorus. I finished my high school in Vosloorus. And I was raised by a single mom who was a domestic worker. And when I saw the thread and chain of the upbringing of my parents and my grandparents was everybody was a domestic worker, and I had to make a choice, like, I'm going to stop this curse here or even this trend of being a domestic worker. I want to become a better person. Did I know that I'm going to be speaking to you today? I did not know. But I knew that I'm called for greatness and I'm called for greater things. And I had to make decisions. The first decision was to stay at school and finish my matric. And the second one was improve my education. This is going to university. In my family, none of my sisters or siblings have been to university. I was the first one in my family to go to university. I had a bigger responsibility to prove it to myself, to my community, and also make sure that I do it for my family. In post doing it for my family, I had to do it for my country. And it grew from there, for doing it for my continent. And also being a Black child. And I mean, what we do here has never been heard of from a township. And I had to become that person that is willing to go through all the hardships, get the beating from customers, from media, from everything else. But through all this, it was purely a journey of building the David Tlale the person and the David Tlale the brand. And here we are today. We don't pride ourselves of being only the first or in many other things. But we pride ourselves that we have inspired a lot of young people to get into the creative industry, to say, yes, if David Tlale can make it, so can I. I mean, I know this because we have the program called The Intern by David Tlale. From that, we have amazing brands that have merged from this training process. The likes of Ntando XV, Muso Maxwell, Minamu by Cindy Mfabe, Keletso Moraba. The list goes on. And these brands are growing and they're becoming better. It means we have imparted a basic skill, which is hard work. And people ask me, are you successful? I'm like, all I do is work hard, because success is nothing else but hard work on a daily basis.